From our own personal standpoints, with the standards that we set with our own program, we will put that expectation on our kids for sure. The standard's going to stay the same. However, you also have some very strong teams that are returning a lot of kids that have a lot of experience, who basically were bred for this year to come. They started as freshmen, they started as sophomores, they were brought along slowly, they took some lumps, and the expectation for some of those schools, I believe right now, is going to be win now. So again, the conference as a whole is going to look different. It would be interesting that the conference might come down to a team that doesn't have to go undefeated, because that's a lot of pressure. But with 9 teams, one hiccup on your schedule, it pretty much can cost you and put you out of the race. Where in years past or in other years, you had a loss or a 2-loss team, that you're still in the mix, and that adds for a little bit of fun. That you don't have a team or two just running away with it at the beginning, or at some point throughout the season. So that makes for good competitive football for sure. Well, first of all, we were hit hard by graduation again. It's the second year in a row that we've returned very few people in terms of starters. Offensively, we only returned 3 starters, but those 3 are all really good. Nick Boring is an offensive lineman, anchored our center position last year. He's returning. Our quarterback, Scott Fennell, who in the second half of the season really emerged as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and Alec Bloom, who is a Division I tight end. So if we're going to have 3 kids return, those are 3 kids that we definitely feel comfortable with. On the defensive side, we returned 5 kids who started for us last year. Derek Croyle at the inside linebacker position had a ton of tackles. He was just a tackling machine for us. Ray Marsh, who's going to be a nose guard, junior nose guard, we expect him to be real special. Alec, as I mentioned, Scott is a defensive back, and Dan Croyle will be returned as a defensive back as well. So the defensive side has a little bit more experience returning, but in our program, our kids get a lot of JV time, and especially with large leads in games and such, they get a lot of significant playing time. So we do have, I believe, 9 lettermen returning, which is a low number for us, but at the same time, those kids have seen a lot of experience, and most of the depth that we have at this point is in our younger grades. Not to sound corny, but week 1 against Purchase Line, they're a team that they're going to be traveling to our place, and it's important for us. The most important game for us is the first one, and to open up at home in front of our home crowd. That's the one that we're anticipating the most. Purchase Line now will be their second year under their head coach. Look for them to be greatly improved, though they did lose a lot to graduation. But really for us, it's week 1, and then week 2 will be United, and then week 3 is Blairsville. So we just take it one week at a time, and that's been a pretty good recipe for success for us. Is that let's not look too far ahead to certain things, but at this point, I think early on in that first third of the season, most people would probably talk about the week 3 matchup with Blairsville, because in our opinion, Blairsville is going to be one of the top teams in the conference. It is. I think the most important thing of any football team is you want to start off 1-0, and that sort of sets the tone for the school year. That sort of sets the tone for the season. But at the same time, you can't put too much stock in whether what you do and those types of things. But everything we do up to this point is leading up to that week 1 game. All the 7-on-7s and all the preseason practice that we've put in, basically our plan, we're going against Purchase Line's defense, and we've been going against Purchase Line's defense for most of the summer. So it's really important for us to win that first game. I'd say probably great skill set. Our quarterback is top notch. He's one of the best around. Our tight end is one of the best around. Our running backs are going to be able to get it done. Michael Keller and Derek Croyle and Dan Croyle, Garrett Tobias at split end. I think that our skill kids as a group are going to be very difficult for other people to match up with. Offensive line. We lost 4 or 5 stars on the offensive line, including a scholarship Division I kid. So, those are kids that you don't really replace. You just sort of bring the next kid along. And again, most of the kids that we're looking at targeting as our starters are going to be juniors. So they're young, and they also don't have as much experience as if we were putting in a senior who's been through the system so far.